Good afternoon, Coach. We'll
Afternoon.
get started with Zach Berman and then Jamie Apodi.
Hey, good afternoon, Doug. I'll get the injury questions out of the way now. Dallas Goedert, Avonte Maddox, Deshaun Jackson, and Jason Peters. What are the status of those four?
In the matter of Dallas Goedert, it appears, it's a lower body. Appears that he's going to miss some time. Just don't have a timetable yet, but he is going to miss some time here with us. Avonte Maddox, another one, lower body, probably also going to maybe miss some time, here with us as well. Jason Peters, you mentioned Jason Peters, correct? Yeah, Jason Peters will be okay. He came away. It was just, when you're playing 90-plus snaps and as humid as it was just some fatigue that set in late in the game. But he's going to be fine. Who was the fourth one you mentioned?
And Deshaun Jackson.
Oh, Deshaun. Yeah, Deshaun's going to be a little more day-to-day. Again, the lower body, day-to-day, optimistic for the game this week.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jamie, and then Nick Fierro.
Hey, Coach, on the radio this morning, you kind of talked about the decision to punt, and I know you've looked at the film now, and have you changed your mind a little bit? I mean, you can't go back in time, obviously, but hindsight being 20/20, do you think you maybe would have made a different decision there and tried to win the game?
Thinking about it, 4th and 7, 19 seconds on the clock. That, to me, looking at the decision, there's a couple of things. You go for it, right? 19 seconds. You got a chance for. I mean, who knows what could happen? A big play, DPI. We didn't have any timeout, so if the ball were completed in bounds or whatever, it'd be hard to hustle up there and kick the field goal. If there were, say, 5, 6, 7 seconds left on the clock, the decision to go for it would be a little bit easier, I think, to make in that situation. Felt comfortable with Jake kicking the 58-yarder, obviously, from the 41-yard line. That's what we talked about prior to, going into overtime. Normally for Jake, the 35-yard line is typically his kick line, but we know that we get in these situations like this. We know we can stretch that out to the 40. He's got all the leg to do that, so we felt comfortable, there. So, either way you slice it, my decision, looking back, I probably would have elected to maybe go for it in that situation and try a ball down the field.
Nick and then Tim.
Hi, Doug. With Deshaun gone out of the lineup now for a while, and also Dallas Goedert, they were your two top receivers coming into the game yesterday. What's the challenge going to be like trying to get your offense to work without them? And also, why didn't you go to JJ very much yesterday?
So the reason we didn't go to JJ, he actually kind of came up before the game with another lower body injury in pregame, and so we had to limit his snaps during the game. He'll be fine though. He's day to day. We should get him hopefully ready to go. But he's another one that's was limited yesterday a little bit that way. The thing that we look at now moving forward, obviously, we're gonna have to find creative and unique ways to use all our players on offense. The tight ends, the runners, obviously, with Carson, and we've done this before. We did it at the end of the season last year. We won the 4th straight to get us into the postseason, and it appears we're gonna have to do that again.
Tim and then Dave.
Doug, what's your self-analysis through 3 games? Is you're finding anything that you're straying away from that you'd like to get back to?
Well, the glaring thing for me as the coach is, we're not winning the turnover ratio. We're obviously giving the ball away more than we're taking it away. The penalties yesterday were way too many. 11 penalties yesterday for almost 100 yards. I thought we ran the ball effectively, for, the amount of times that we ran it. Miles did a nice job there in the backs. And quite frankly, we've got to find ways now to utilize the guys we have, as we talked about earlier, creative ways to get these guys open, and whether we do that by formations, we do that by motions. and we got to continue to coach our young players. We got to get them, ready to go, and they're the ones that are going to be playing, on the perimeter for us. So, right now we're not a very good football team. We're, as I said after the game, we're not very smart. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're losing, or we're leaving touchdowns on the field offensively, and we're just not executing. And those are things that we're going to really look hard at this week. And if we got to simplify, we'll simplify. If we've got to go up tempo, we'll go up tempo. Things that have been successful in the past.
Dave and then Jeff.
Hey, Doug, how would you assess Jason Peters' play yesterday before he left the game?
I thought Jason was doing some nice things. There was a couple times he got edged a little bit. I thought overall he played pretty well. And even in the run game, he still plays at a high level, and felt good about his performance. It wasn't perfect, but he definitely was in the right spots and doing the right things for us.
Jeff and then Ruben.
Doug, you referenced all the injuries that you guys have had and related it to the 2 previous years when you guys were able to overcome them. At this point, is it no longer a coincidence that you guys are among the most injured teams in the NFL over the last 3 years? And why do you think that is?
Well, I think this is a physical game. I think these guys, put their bodies at risk every week. I think in the case of Dallas Goedert and Avonte Maddox, the way they were tackled, the way they were landed upon, those things happen. And it's unfortunate. It's gonna be a part of our game. Nobody said this business would be easy. No one said coaching would be easy and playing would be easy. And we signed up for it, and we're gonna coach our players and coach the ones that are healthy and ready to go, and prepare for this week.
Ruben and then Les.
Hey, Doug, how did Alshon come out of those practices Thursday and Friday? And if he has a good week this week, do you think there's a chance you might have him on Sunday?
Yeah, he came out of last week good. We're going to ramp him up a little bit more this week, give him a little bit more week, and we'll see where he's at the end of the week.
Les and then Kristen.
Hi, Doug. Not to belabor this, but your quarterback. We've been talking about this for 3 weeks now. You say you don't want him to take too much on his shoulders to feel like he has to win the game himself. But what's going on? He's still at the very bottom. Every week is a 60-something passer rating. You're seeing picks that he's never thrown before. How do you fix this?
There's a couple things. I think one of the ways that we do that and really to kind of maybe unclutter his mind some is to play fast, play up tempo, where players don't have to think, right? They just react, and that has been a recipe for us over the years, and it's something that we may have to lean on a little bit more. We'll take a look at the game plans and make sure there's not a lot of maybe moving parts or things that have from a quarterback's perspective that he's got to get us in and out of, right? Just do more of the run it play variety, right, where you don't have to think about a lot of things, and just somehow help him to free up his mind and let him play, and and make the plays that we know he's capable of making, and keep coaching him and keep coaching all the guys, and put together a game plan this week to go play San Francisco.
Would you think you'd be in that position in year 5 with Carson?
I think you're always learning. I think you're always growing. I don't think anybody gets to the point where they've, got things completely mastered, so to speak. Even some of the top quarterbacks would say that, and they're constantly, I think, getting better. And if you're not striving to get better, I think you're going the other way. And we gotta make sure that we're going in the right direction.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Kristen, and then Bo.
Hey, Doug, to that point about Carson, I want to talk about 2 specific runs we saw from him, that 24-yard run on 3rd down and then that 7-yard run for a touchdown. Does that speak to maybe the options not being there on offense right now? And you talk about trying to get creative, Wentz having to do it himself because you're not seeing those availabilities from the receivers.
Well, that's just the point. You know, I don't want to feel like Carson has to put the weight on his shoulders, right, and carry the entire football team. We've got to do a better job, you know, as a whole unit, right? Everybody's got to do their particular job on specific plays. One of the things probably that we can rely on maybe a little bit more with Carson is his ability to escape the pocket. Those big plays yesterday came on just that, his ability to extend plays. And, you know, we've encouraged him to do that. It just so happened yesterday, and you saw it even in the Rams game the week before. You know, he made a huge scramble up the middle for 7 or 8 yards for a first down, and being able to do that puts pressure on the defense, right? And that's one of the talents that he has, and we got to continue to find ways, whether it's by design or just by him, you know, being creative and extending plays to help the offense stay on the field.
Bo and then Daniel.
Hey, Doug, one last question on the punt at the end of the game. In looking back in the plays leading up to the field goal attempt, were you happy with the aggressiveness of the play calls before lining up for the field goal?
Yeah, it was. The situations, obviously they were pressuring us, and I didn't want to keep Zach Ertz in protection. I didn't necessarily want to keep Miles and the guys in, and so, you know, we had to go to a little bit more of the shorter, the intermediate style passing game just to get the ball out of Carson's hand in those situations. And then we had a couple run chances there that we just missed on a block and a block or two, and it would have put us probably a little bit closer to our kick line.
Thank you.
Daniel and then Chris Franklin.
Hey, Doug. It looked like there was a little bit more, I guess, kind of chippiness out of the team yesterday. There was the unnecessary roughness after the punt. There are a couple times where guys were getting up and jawing a little bit with the Bengals. Is that frustration? Was it something the Bengals were doing? What did you kind of see as the origin of that yesterday?
I just think it's guys, you know, the players being players. There's always, you know, chipping that goes on, and you know, when there's obviously right now when there, you know, you don't have the crowd noise in the stadium, you can hear both sides talking and chipping back and forth, and you know, it was a hard fought game, and obviously emotions run high, and we've got to do our part to kind of, you know, keep our cool and level heads. But, you know, it's part of the game. It's unfortunate that we got the one penalty there on Corey, but, you know, he'll learn from it. But it was just the way the game was going yesterday.
Chris and then Ed.
Hey, Doug, when it came to that 4th and 12 play, was that more of an analytics-based decision or was it more of a feel thing? And then also, could you share who else was also involved with that decision?
You're talking about after the false start?
Yes.
Well, again, I've already made this statement that I would have probably elected to go for it in that situation. You know, and so the decision there is not an analytical decision. The fact was there was 19 seconds on the clock, and now you're talking around midfield. Now you're back at the 46-yard line, and you know, it's a situation where you know, you take the shot, and you know, I learned from it, and I'll move on.
Take a couple more. We'll go to Ed and then Mike K.
Hey, Doug. I know we've talked about how much you love play calling, and that's the favorite part of your job, really. But have you given any thought to maybe surrendering some of those issues or duties with the team kind of needing a spark at this point?
No, I haven't. I love doing it. It's the exciting part for me. You know, I get to see the game, you know, obviously differently and as a quarterback, and see it kind of through their eyes and through the offense's eyes. And I haven't thought about that at all.
Go ahead, Mike.
Doug, you said you don't want Carson to feel like he has to put the burden of the offense on himself. Miles Sanders was having a really good first half, averaging like 8 yards a carry, but he finished with only like 18 carries overall. Why move away from the run in such a close game?
You know, it just so happened that you know, in Miles's case, you know, you go back the week before, and not to you know, make excuses or whatever, but there was a little fatigue that set in. Miles alluded to that. You know, he was battling through some things yesterday during the game, and we had to be cautious, you know, late in the game. So, you know, and there's times where you just you make the decision to maybe shift gears and go a little different direction, and that's what we did yesterday. But Miles, moving forward, Miles is obviously a big part of what we do, and I actually thought he not only ran the ball but blocked well in pass protection as well.
Just to clarify, it was fatigue and not an injury.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks.